Stoicism is a pretty popular philosophy right now, and I think a part of that is because it's so applicable for here and now for yourself. You could apply it to your personal life and have it influence you internally, have it influence your own mindset. But this self-focused image of Stoicism may hide the things that Stoicism has to say about how we treat others, how it's also an outward-facing philosophy. And one of the most important outward-facing aspects of our lives is our friendships, a topic that I also covered in my last video on Plato's thoughts on friendship. Here, we'll get another perspective, a different perspective, and hopefully this leads to some ideas that might enrich the friendships in your own lives. For this, we're using Epictetus' Discourses. It's a great compendium of short blurbs addressing different topics from a Stoic perspective. I get that the word blurb isn't very academic, but who cares? Now we're specifically going to be looking at Book 2, Section 22 of Love and Friendship. Epictetus starts big picture, and then narrows his discussion down. He starts by saying, "You show consideration for things you are naturally inclined to love, and since we love what is good, it follows that we only show consideration for what is good. In order to love someone or something, we need to know what is good. We need to have knowledge of the good to love. The power to love, then, belongs only to the wise man." Now, this is kind of a challenging position. First off, we only show consideration for things we are naturally inclined to love? Perhaps there's a translation problem here, but I would definitely show consideration to someone shooting me in the gut. But that doesn't mean I'm naturally inclined to love being shot in the gut. And we need to have knowledge of the good and be a wise man to love? Human history is riddled with toxic relationships, but couldn't there still be love found in those? I mean, let's be introspective here. I love, at least I think I do, but can I always tell the difference between good and bad? Do I have knowledge of the good truly and objectively? I don't know. But Epictetus has a response to our skeptical introspection as to why we aren't wise. It's because you are frequently dazed or disturbed by certain sense impressions, whose appearance of truth gets the better of you. We're subject to a wide spectrum of emotions that confuse us, makes us think something is bad one minute and good the next minute, and this applies to our relationships, specifically our friends. We all have friends, I hope. And when we interact with our friends, there are times when things can get heated. I don't know if it's such a pendulum swing as Epictetus says, where one minute you consider them friends and the next enemies, but there are definitely mood swings in a friendship. Epictetus thinks one cause of these mood swings in our friendships is our self-interest. He accepts that everyone is motivated by self-interest. It is a universal law, have no illusions, that every creature alive is attached to nothing so much as to its own self-interest. Now, it'd be a real can of worms to really determine if this is a true statement or not, but I think it's safe to accept this as practically true for the sake of Epictetus' argument. Are there instances where people act seemingly outside of self-interest? Yes, we could probably think of some. But for the most part in life, we do see self-interest as being a large factor in our motivation. So how does this get in the way of friendship? Epictetus uses a pretty good example of two dogs playing together. Seems like a good example of friendship, right? But once you throw a piece of meat in the middle of them, you'll see how quickly that friendship deteriorates. In other words, material things that are in our self-interest to obtain can override our friendship in a sense. I've thankfully never had a crush on the same girl as a friend of mine, but I could see how that might hurt a friendship. You know though, I had this friend, and we didn't split because of this, but it was always a matter of contention. He was very serious about giving gifts for Christmas or a birthday. I wouldn't ask for anything, but he was like, "No, we're doing this, here's your gift. I want a gift from you now, and I'm gonna keep bugging you about it until I get my gift." And okay, obviously I'm retelling this story in a biased way, so take it with a grain of salt. But the point of the story, I think, is that these material external things, for him a gift and for me my own money, brought some tension to the friendship. Our self-interested pursuit. Or okay, in my case, I just wanted to save money. I'm the one with the YouTube channel, I get to use this platform to shamelessly defend my side of it. I was in high school, I didn't have a steady flow of income. But yeah, our valuing of external things motivated by self-interest overrode our friendship. But if self-interest is to be found in every individual, according to Epictetus, how could we have good friendships? Or are they all doomed to inevitably die when a strong external motivation comes into the picture? Epictetus' advice is to change ourselves, but also to look for the right types of friends. Yes, we're all motivated by self-interest, says Epictetus, but what we identify as self-interest is varied. The upshot is that if you identify self-interest with piety, honesty, country, parents, and friends, then they are all secure, but separate them, and friends, family, country, and morality itself all come to nothing, outweighed by self-interest. Now, a lot of things were listed there, But the important ones, I think, are to have a self-interest in morality, which is obvious in helping to maintain friendships, but also friendship itself. Like sure, if you and your friend are fighting over the last chicken nugget, it's in your self-interest to eat that chicken nugget. However, if you focus your self-interest into maintaining that friendship, the friendship should override the desire to eat that last nugget. The friendship itself is to be valued over many of these material external things. And while you incorporate this in your life to be a better friend, you might want to see if others exhibit that same attitude in order to be their friend. Would this person value you as their friend? Stick by you through your troubles? Not betray you for something external? Or would they stab you in the back just to eat that last chicken nugget? Just ask yourself whether they put their self-interest in externals or in moral choice. Now, one thing I want to mention is that I don't think healthy competition harms a friendship. If you're playing video games with them, like a 1v1 on Rust and Modern Warfare 2, you're not just going to let them win because you value the friendship over winning the game. The friendly competition itself is part of the friendship. Same with giving each other shit. I find actually that the deeper friendships are ones where you could joke around and tease one another. Not in a hurtful way like you want them to get hurt, but to make them laugh actually. You could definitely have friendships without this element of competition and teasing, but I also think that these are fun personal elements of a friendship that don't actually harm the friendship but can enrich it. That may go against what Epictetus is saying, or it could be something unrelated, I don't know. Anyways, thanks for watching, I hope you found some value from this video, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. And with that, I wish you all a beautiful rest of your day.